Henriette is rapidly intensifying now north of Hawaii and has now become a hurricane, a Category 1 on the Saffir-Simpson hurricane wind scale. Currently north of Hawaii, and very impressive looking on the satellite imagery side of things, as it has intensified substantially in the past 12 to 24 hours, and additional intensification looks to be on the way. So right now we've gone with winds of 85 miles per hour and a pressure of 986 millibars. A little bit higher than the Central Pacific Hurricane Center's latest analysis, but we have reason to back that up. Moving northwest right now at 17 miles per hour, and once again, still we are quote unclassified on T-coast. So here's where the storm is located right now: 25.7 degrees north, 152.5 degrees west if we're tracking at home, which is 420 miles away from Kahului, 425 from Molokai Island, 445 from Hilo, 455 from Honolulu, and 505 from Lihue. All of those in the state of Hawaii. You can see Hawaii just off towards the southwest of the storm right now. The storm is moving off towards the northwest and poses little to no risk to the Hawaiian Islands, besides the isolated rip current incident that we've been seeing over the next few days, or the past few days, I should say, with Henriette, as it passes out towards the northeast of the Hawaiian Islands. Very small wind field as it stands right now, still only a maximum of 60 nautical miles. That's the same from my update about a few days ago. No watches or warnings once again are in effect, given that the storm is not a threat to land over the next 5 days. And we're going to be seeing the distribution of the storm in around 4 to 5 days' time, probably to the east of the international date line, so not going to cross into the Western Pacific, unfortunately, so not going to be another tri-basin crosser. So with Henriette, the primary threat remains to be rip currents. This text on this slideshow here is actually exactly the same, apart from the storm now being north of Hawaii as my previous update. So still stay tuned to your local National Weather Service office and beach statements on rip currents on the Hawaiian Islands, as Henriette is probably as close as it'll ever get to the Hawaiian Islands right now. So there is still the isolated rip current risk, of course. That's always going to be the same story whenever we have a hurricane that's going to pass offshore of a landmass. But not too much in terms of anything else besides that. Maybe some strong waves on open waters, but nothing too major for land areas. So here's the track forecast. Believe it or not, we forecast a Category 2. Central Pacific Hurricane Center does as well. They are forecasting a 105 mile per hour peak. Could get a little bit stronger than that, sure, but I don't really think so. And rapidly weakening as it approaches the international date line. There it is, just off towards the west. There it is. Never really gets there, and it's going to recarve off towards the northeast around at 170, 175 degrees west. So not going to make it towards the Western Pacific. So the latest National Hurricane Center forecast cone is taking the storm off towards the northwest, pretty much how our track forecast does, weakening into the later part of the coming week. And then by the weekend, even by Friday probably, the circulation will be rapidly moving off towards Alaska, or what's left of it, if it's even in circulation by then. And it will be nothing more than a distant memory for those who are tracking Hurricane Henriette. Nothing more of a interesting storm peaking north of Hawaii. Can't say that the last time that happened, I believe it's in the 1970s that a storm has peaked north of Hawaii. So intensity estimates, the Dvorak estimates were suggesting around 75 miles per hour, 18Z. They have continued to rapidly climb since then, so that's why we've gone with 85 miles per hour, sort of in continuation from the intensity estimates from those 18Z forecast points. Unfortunately, they aren't available on the CMS website, but ADT down at 45 miles per hour incessantly. What's it doing? So track forecast is pretty set in stone for the next 48 hours, though past that, a little bit of a question mark on where it goes. But once again, pretty much the same thing that we've been saying for the past few days, far away from any land areas, not going to be too much of a land risk, and it will not enter the Western Pacific Basin here. Regarding the intensity forecast though, Henriette, if it does get to 110 miles per hour or higher, it will be the strongest hurricane ever recorded to peak north of Hawaii. I believe the record setter is a unnamed hurricane back in the 1970s. I'm not sure what the exact year is, but there's only been really 6 storms that have really reached hurricane status north of Hawaii. I know that Ignacio in 2015, and I think there's Julio from 2014 also come to mind. But those, of course, but for those two in particular, those were secondary peaks. So this is going to be the only hurricane in modern history to really peak, to reach its ultimate peak intensity north of Hawaii. A record setter, nonetheless. So it remains to be seen if it gets towards major hurricane status, but to be honest, I wouldn't even rule it out. And here's why. The sea surface temperatures are not too favorable. It's got 25 degrees Celsius waters that is doing this intensification underneath, by the way. Nothing short of astronomical. It's mainly being favored, or mainly being enhanced by an upper level low environment that it's dealing with. That's mainly helping this intensification trend. And with growing sea surface temperatures, that's only going to enhance this intensification trend. So I do think that the peak intensity is yet to be realized, and we'll probably be seeing it in about 24 hours from now. These surface plots aren't really going to be saying much, though. We got a pressure of 1,014 on a small island to the southwest of the storm circulation, but once again, it's too far away to really capture anything, given that Henriette is still a pretty small hurricane. You know, we're only seeing those tropical storm force winds at a maximum of 60 nautical miles away from the center. Probably hurricane force winds only see the maximum of about 10 nautical miles at maximum, if that even, probably smaller, from the center of circulation. So it is still a very small storm. So here's what the track forecast is looking like right now. Most models in unanimous agreement that this storm will curve off towards the northeast past day 3, day 4. The international date line here is pictured off towards the west of this image here, so not going to get close to the Western Pacific Basin. So going to remain in the Southern Pacific Basin for the rest of its life and should die out to sea, away from any land areas. You can see the Hawaiian Islands towards the bottom left of the storm there, once again passing safely towards the northeast. Intensity forecast is a little bit of a hit or miss, though. Does it intensify a little bit more? Some models say yes, some models say no. Probably peaking in about 24 hours from now, maybe even a little bit further on than that. And here's why: those wind shear values are going to go down. But look at that, past August 12th, they skyrocket. That's going to be what's ultimately going to kill off the storm as it begins its transition off towards a tropical cyclone, and the center of circulation becomes torn apart by the approaching front that's going to be dealing with. Sea surface temperatures are climbing once again, so they're going to be peaking at about 24 to 36 hours from now, so that's going to be into some temptation. And relative humidity also on the climb, and it's not going to be a problem for the rest of the storm's life. So that wind shear problem is going to be a big one, and the decreasing waters once again down to 22 degrees Celsius by day 4. Here's the visible imagery. Wow is one word that immediately comes to mind. You know, Henriette, from its appearance 24 hours ago, from nothing more from a mess of a tropical cyclone. Wow, what an improvement in 24 hours. Continuing to improve here on the satellite imagery. It's got that eye wall going. It's got cooling cloud tops. It's trying to intensify a little bit more, given those colder waters. The cloud top side of things aren't looking too impressive given the low tropopause and given those low water temperatures that the storm is traversing over right now. But for the conditions that it's in right now, it's doing pretty good. Remains to be seen if it's going to become a major hurricane. You can see those cloud tops, especially on the southern side of the circulation, has been doing pretty good. Maybe a little bit break on the northern side, maybe some dry air problems too, but I don't think it's going to be too much of an issue for the storm to reach Category 2 status, and it'll probably reach it after we give it just a little bit more time. Henriette passing towards the north of the Hawaiian Islands, passing towards the northwest, and is not going to be a threat towards the land areas, but what a beautiful hurricane here once again. I feel like I've been seeing this a lot so far this season in the Eastern Pacific, continuing to impress us month after month. 2025 in the Eastern Pacific so far, the surprises seem to never end, and I hope that they will eventually at some point end, because these surprises, to be honest with me, are getting exhausting.